Welcome to Biblio Files, the program where we get together each week to quickly discuss in about 5 minutes one book topic. I'm Lucy, and I'm here with Christopher and Amanda, and our topic or question of the day today is, what is the book that took you a couple tries to get into before it stuck? So, Amanda, what is the book that took you a while before you could get into it?
So this was a hard one for me to actually decide what book to choose, because normally when I start a book, I make myself finish it. Even if I'm 30 pages in, 70 pages in, I make it a rule that I need to finish a book. But the book I ended up choosing for this kind of skews what the question actually is. The book I chose is Needful Things by Stephen King. I know. So this book comes in at almost 700 pages. The only reason I chose to read this book or start it back in February was because it's the last Castle Rock story. And it just took me, and usually Stephen King books are slow to start. They're very descriptive. I love hearing all of the traits and quirks about all the characters and whatever town it's set in. But this one just got a sluggish start for me, and I had a very hard time picking it back up again. So for a couple of months, I was not reading this or anything else because I just couldn't get through it. So this book, as I said, is set in Castle Rock. It's a sleepy town, and the residents are very excited because there's a new shop opening up, the shop called Needful Things. And there is a man who is selling items, and as people go in to buy these items at a very low price, they're getting more than they bargained for, because the items end up involved in wild pranks against neighbors, and there's a huge town thing. There's a sheriff involved. I mean, it's a delightful story. Okay, maybe delightful is not the right word. It's a story. It's Stephen King. It's set in Castle Rock. I like a lot of bits of the story. I don't know what my problem was with it. A lot of people who read a lot of King enjoy this book. I don't know what my problem was. It took me a long time to get into it. Once I got into it, I realized, okay, you've only got 250 more pages to go. Let's do it. And then I forced myself to finish those last 250 pages, and I did it. I finished it very quickly. The last 250 pages I read very quickly, and I did it, and it was a big accomplishment because I wanted to go on and read something else, and I wasn't reading anything else until I finished it. So it's not quite a book that I started many times before it stuck. It's a book I started many times before I actually finished it. So that's my long spiel about Needful Things. A lot of people do enjoy this book. I don't even know how many stars I give it, but it took me a while to finish it. So that's my TED talk about that book. Christopher, what book? Tell me you have a better story than me.
Well, the book I chose for this is The Good Soldier Schweik by Jaroslav Hasek. And I did start this book many times, and it finally stuck. I don't know why I had so much trouble with it. It's one of my very favorite books now, and it tells the story of a soldier in World War I. It's one of the first kind of anti-war satires. It's very funny, and it has a kind of archetypal character who manages to survive the horrors of war, not by being a powerful person, but by kind of willful stupidity. And you get glimpses of his secret self shining through in just a few spots. But for most of the novel, he just appears as an idiot, as he is proud to tell everyone. And it has these delightful illustrations by Joseph Lada. Let's see if I can find one real quick. I don't know if you can see that very well or not, but these are very famous illustrations, and it's a great book. I don't know why it took me so long, so many tries to get into it and enjoy it. I think I was just a different reader and a younger reader at the time. So, Lucy?
Well, the book that took me a number of tries before it stuck, is Middlemarch by George Eliot. And it was a book that I always kind of wanted to read because I felt like I was an English major in college, and I feel like there are people who either liked Middlemarch or didn't like Middlemarch. It's a big book. It's almost 900 pages. And it is the story of basically Dorothea Brooke in this English town in the 1830s, but really it's the story of the town Middlemarch. And I would try this book because people would say, oh, it's my favorite book. I love this book. It's the great novel, great English novel. I read the first 100 pages of this book multiple times, and I just couldn't do it. And I don't know if it's because I was distracted by other things in my reading list, or, I think sometimes I'm always looking ahead to what I'm going to do next. Then a couple years ago, I just committed to, I was like, I'm just taking the month of January and I'm reading this book and I'm not reading anything else. And I'm going to see what happens. And I just fell into it. And it's really a book that you can live in, because more than being about this one character, it's about the town of Middlemarch. And George Eliot has created this town full of all these characters, and you get to know like just the foibles and the motivations of big characters, small characters. It's this perfect example of this provincial life. And it's, I don't know, I just existed in it. And that's such a cool thing when that happens, I think. So I'm so glad that I pursued it and I kept going back to it. I was determined. Now I think it's something that I will pick up again occasionally, and to go back. I mean, it just seems nice to go back to that place, I don't have a copy to show you because I carried it with me everywhere. That was another thing I did. And so it had like coffee spilled on it, and I mean, it fell apart, but that was my trick and technique to getting that book done. And I'm so glad that I did. So that's Middlemarch by George Eliot. So we hope that you guys enjoyed hearing what books we had to persevere with in order to get through. And if you have something that took you a couple tries to get into, we'd love to hear from you. You can follow the link below to add a comment. And please join us for our next episode of Biblio Files, where we will discuss the last book that each of us just finished. So we will see you next time. Thanks.